Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rahma. Michael is the author of Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
And the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Today is Memorial Day celebration number 103. And welcome, Michael, and we already have a caller when you're ready for him.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're delighted to be here. Welcome everybody to the show, to our honoring of Memorial Day, and our invitation to you in honoring Memorial Day is that you, as we commit to, today, look at one issue in your life where you have some form of hostility or fear, frustration. You know, the inclination to raise your voice at someone or lash out. And why do we lash out? And what is war but the extreme of lashing out? We lash out because there's something in ourselves we haven't dealt with. We invite you to forgive that something in yourself. And forgiveness, if you're not familiar with that conversation, has nothing to do with letting somebody else off the hook because there's something in you that wants to lash out. Forgiveness is the tool with which you go inside yourself and change the content of your mind. If you want to familiarize yourself with that conversation, you're new to the show, you're new to the work, then I invite you to go to our website, www.whyagain.com, www.whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, a few links down, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. The first 4 links will explain the whole process to you. We invite you to do that, and let's talk to our caller.
All right, area code 408, I think that's a California number. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, my name is Jill.
Hey, Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you guys today?
Blessed and
Wonderful.
highly favored. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Awesome. What do you have on your mind today? How can we support you?
I've been dealing with a neighbor that has not been it's been really, I mean, you know, it's been where he's hurt my daughter and, you know, did the court thing. He's been in and out of jail for everything, you name it. And he still continues to, I've been trying to work with the police, but it's every time I don't, like when I see stuff, I don't call because it doesn't matter if I call or not because he still vandalizes and destructs, you know, things in my backyard, front yard. I'm just now, you know, I went down to the police today and they're just kind of like reprimanded me for not calling when things are happening because I already know kind of what's going to happen. So I don't know what and how to deal or where this is going to go at all because it's getting to the point, you know, I'm afraid for me and my daughter, and he's hurt my cat, and it's just I feel like they've taken a blind eye to it, so to speak. So I'm kind of in fear of it.
Okay. Well, from the point of view of this work, Jill, the first order of business would be it's time for you to work through your fear.
Right.
Because as long as you hold fear, being the creator that you are, you will tend to create things to fear. And, of course, it will look like that which you have to fear is about what they're doing Truth is, your fear is about what's going on inside of you.
Okay.
And the mind that you bring to a circumstance will produce a result. There's a really awesome example of that on our website, the one I like to use regularly, because it moves outside of the human realm and into the realm of energy in a very direct way. You know, Jeannie is the webmaster on our site, and she has a section on the site, a link on the right-hand side that says "We Are One."
Okay.
And on that link, if you click on that link, you'll see one about, I believe the lion's name is Christian the Lion.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly how she's got it titled, but if you watch that, it's really interesting to watch that video. This lion was raised by two men in England from a cub, and the lion got too big to be able to handle in their apartment, raising a lion in their apartment.
Right.
What they did is they arranged to fly this lion to England, or to preserve in Africa. And
I saw that.
Okay. Now,
that was awesome.
Remember the part,
and the lion remembered them.
Right. But the awesome part of it is that, do you remember that they were able to pet the wild mate of this lion?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Now, I suspect that Christian the lion did not have a conversation with its mate, while they were still up in the wild, and said, now, you see those humans down there? They're friends of mine. We're not going to eat them or attack them. I kind of suspect that conversation didn't take place. However, Christian did carry a literal field. There's a fellow named Rupert Sheldrake who has a book where he puts out the theory of what are called morphogenic fields, that everything that we hold in us is an energy that produces a result.
Okay.
So here Christian comes bounding down the hill to these guys, loves on them, hugs on them, just is all over them. And along with them comes this wild lioness, and, the lioness is the huntress.
Right.
And normally those guys would be lunch.
Correct.
And she comes up to them with no conversation, not a word said by her mate, and they're able to pet a wild lioness. I mean, that's impossible.
Right, yeah.
But it happens. Why did it happen? Because the male carried a field of safety for these guys, and without communicating a word, the lioness falls in harmony with what he holds, and they're safe.
Okay, got it.
And what that says is that the energy that this male carried impacted the female's behavior. Now, there's a really awesome piece of teaching in one of the books of the ancient scriptures, the book of Job.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know anything about it, you remember the book of Job, but Job went through hell.
Right.
And the final lesson that Job comes up with to teach us after all this hell he goes through is, that which I feared most has come upon me.
Okay.
Christian the lion would say, that which I love most is safe in the presence of my mate who would normally eat my friends.
Right.
Job says, that which I feared most I created in my life.
Okay.
Now, my input to you would be that your forgiveness work in this situation would be that you start to recognize that your fear is producing results.
Okay.
And your fear isn't about what he'll do to you or your daughter or your cat or your property. Your fear is simply your fear, and it's producing results. Now, that doesn't mean you're to blame for his behavior. That doesn't mean that he shouldn't be held accountable. Absolutely. If he's not safe in the community, that guy probably needs to go be in a prison cell.
Right.
However, why are you the target? And I'd offer that you carry a morphogenic field, as Rupert Sheldrake would call it. You carry a field that says, hey, world, and I got the blessing about 30 years ago getting to do some work with a fellow named Marcel Vogel who was a 23-year senior scientist with IBM. This is physics we're talking about. Here's what Marcel was able to do. He had a camera in his laboratory with which to take a picture of the high energy waves that lead to mind when we think a thought.
Right.
So your fear is a high energy wave, and because we live in an energetic world and the main governing law of energy systems is resonance, if I have a broadcasting station, I set up a signal, I send it out, and you know what? I don't hear a thing. But if there's a radio nearby tuned to that station, I get to hear what the station's broadcasting.
Correct.
My input to you is that we are always getting to hear what we're broadcasting through the people around us.
Okay.
And as you will put the pen to the paper and start to forgive your fear, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see this guy change his behavior.
Okay.
Put his attention in another direction.
Right.
So they've done some research in prisons where they took, they actually kind of reversed the lineup kind of thing, and they took people off of the street, and they brought them in and lined them up in the prisons and had the prisoners looking at their potential victims. And almost universally, the criminals would say, that's the one I'd go after. You know, a dozen people would go through a lineup. And virtually every one of the criminals would pick the same person that they would, quote, unquote, victimize because of the energy that they carry. And so one of the places that you can start to feel empowered in your life is to go to the website, www.whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side, download worksheet. Download the first 4 links. Start reading, start listening, start putting the pen to the paper, and forgiving your fear.
Okay.
As you forgive your fear, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see that situation change.
Okay.
Again, that doesn't mean lay down and take it and don't hold him accountable for his behavior.
Right.
But if you hold him accountable out of your fear, and let's say you get him locked away, chances are you're going to have to find another place to play your fear out. Somebody else is going to show up and choose to victimize you.
Right. I was really, I mean, like when he was doing this before, I mean, he's always been like, he's always in and out. I mean, this is his way of life. He's, crackhead, whatever. And I'm not myself, I stood up to him and said, he's like, oh, you're calling the cops. I said, no, I ain't calling the cops because I'm going to deal with you myself. I've looked him in the eye, and then, like, right after that happened is when he, went for my daughter. I'm not, like, afraid of him per se for myself. I'm because I won't back down. There is a fear, but the fear is like, when I leave, my daughter's 16, she should be able to stay at home. When I go, I don't feel safe is what it is. And I think the reason why he kind of targets me is because, we live on a real small street, and I think I'm the one that doesn't have a man living in the home with me. You know what I mean?
No.
It's kind of like he leaves everybody else alone.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's had problems with him, and, a couple of my neighbors went to court with us, and there are other children, and that's what, it's like instead of being proactive about it, the other people on the block, they're kind of, I feel they don't want to do anything or say anything because they are in fear. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
I hear you loud and clear.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you loud and clear. And, in the animal realm, one of the things that an animal trainer will tell you, if you're out on the trail and you meet a bear on the trail, you don't look that bear in the eye.
Right, exactly. I don't look crazy in the eye at all.
You are appealing to his vicious nature, and he's going to get vicious. You're challenging him.
Okay.
It sounds
I do healing work, and I do stuff like that, and I've been doing the love and light and sending all good over there, protection, and I've been doing that, and I know things are going to work out the way the way the universe wants it to work out. I understand that. I'm just to a point where now I'm just so tired because it's like all night long things are going on, and I'm not sleeping, and I feel like I'm getting a little slap crazy here.
So my input would be that you're not a victim of the universe, and it's not going to work out the way the universe wants it to work out. It's going to work out the way you want it to work out.
Okay.
And as long as you're going to stand up to him and be the tough one and I'll face you,
right,
you just put out another invitation to be attacked.
Right. Right.
And, you know, and when you go, yeah, and I'm tough enough to protect myself, there's a wonderful lesson in the early stages of A Course in Miracles. And the lesson in the Course in Miracles is, in my defenselessness, my power and safety lie. As long as I hold the defense, I'm big, I'm tough, I can fight him down.
Right.
You're literally on an energetic level, the same way as Krista the Lion is sending out a message. On an energetic level, you're sending out a message that says, hey, world, look at me, I'm big, I'm tough, I can prove that I can take it, come and attack me. And somebody's going to show up.
Right.
All of that would be the subject of your worksheets. All of that would be the subjects of the worksheets that I would suggest that you do to start to shift and change that dynamic that's been established. And as lovingly as you can, when it's appropriate, pick up the phone, call the police, and say, we've got a problem.
Right.
Come and support.
Okay.
But keep your connection to the active presence of love and heal your fear. If your daughter's got fear, assist her in healing her fear, and start to move through that, and you'll probably see a change.
All righty. Thank you so much for your input and your help today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Please pick up and do some of the worksheets on the website and get back to us and let us know what the result looks like. And we hold the space in the meantime. We hold the space of love for your healing your fear, your daughter, if she's got any, healing her fear, and both of you being surrounded in light and being safe. And this fellow, whatever his pain and his trauma is about, that he's able to open and move through that and start to live a more human life.
Right. Okay. Thank you again so much.
The only person that does the kind of stuff you're describing is somebody who's in a lot of pain and trauma.
Right. Right. Okay.
Well, thank you for your call, Jill. Delightful.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hey, you too. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Michael, we have another caller.
Awesome.
Okay, it is area code 717. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. Where is 717?
I'm in Pennsylvania, right at the border of Maryland and PA.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome to the show. We're delighted to hear from you.
Oh, and I'm horrified to be talking to you. Oh, my gosh. I'm horrified because you terrify me. I'm so projecting right now.
You pick up. We'll transfer the input that we just gave to Jill, and that is, get to the website fast, do some worksheets, and let's let go of this terror. I promise I'm safe, you know.
I've been doing worksheets on you, Michael. You don't even know how many I've been doing on you.
Well, you're the first person in the creation that's ever had to do a worksheet on me, right, Jeannie? Right, Jeannie?
Just talk.
Well, you may not have been lost, but I found you 5 weeks ago, and wanted to share because it was, I guess, a godly incident. I bring a self-help group to jail, to the women in my local jail, and I've been doing it for about a year and a half, and it came down to what's been happening is I've been sharing on how we create our circumstances. I always say we're born into an energy, and then we continue to create it. If I've been born into abuse, I'm going to continue to be abused, or I'm going to start abusing, or I'm going to watch people be abused because it's what I'm comfortable with. And I've been sharing this, and it resonates very, very well. Most of my girls are very young, 18 to 25. And what's happened is I'd say the past 2 months before I found you, I've had a couple of the girls really say to me, but how do I stop it? How do I heal it? And I can only share with them my experience, and how I healed it was to go back, or to the best of my ability, was to go back to the original way I felt, or when I remember feeling the way I felt, and writing out how it wasn't my fault and how it wasn't the people's fault who did it to me. But that was kind of a slapdash thing that I did to save my life. I didn't have your tools. And one night, it's a Friday night, I bring one of the meetings there, was driving home, and I was very disheartened because when someone looks you in the eye and says, how do I do it? And I have to look back and say, 1 minute at a time, and I really didn't know what to do. How do I get that across when it was just a lifelong experience? And when I got home, I was on the Internet actually looking up the Caboris manuscript that someone else had told me about, found your website, and on the front it says, why is this always happening to me? Which was just what the girls and I were talking about. And I knew, oh no, my life has changed forever. And it's been wonderful in some ways because I've been able to help them see another way. I have not been able to introduce the worksheets because I'm not allowed to bring in paper right now. And
wait a minute. What does that mean? I'm not allowed to bring in paper?
To the jail, I have to have I have to go in with nothing, just my hands. You know, they're very strict with what they allow into the jail. And
so when you say that your girls, you're not talking about your children. You're working with some women in the prison. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, these are. Well, they're my girls, my women. I'm their girl, their woman. Right. Yes, they're the females in the jail.
I got it.
Yes. Right. But I've been sharing so much of what I've learned about how it's really a matter of cutting it out, that what did not belong. And I just wanted to share with you, you don't know the difference you made in my life and in their lives, except really, really bad thing happened. I slept for like 2 weeks straight because it was horrible. I was so exhausted. And I realize now, I guess that's, is that brain cells growing?
Well, what you're doing there is likely you're cleaning up unconsciousness. You're burning off. You know, especially if you've ever done anything like drugs and alcohol, there comes a point when that stuff starts to go up and wants to detox, and it's just like, cloak, I'm out cold. I'm out of here.
Yeah. It was. I really blamed you a lot. That's why I had to do some worksheets on you. But
never had a conversation, but it's all my fault. What's going on in your world, right? Okay. Well, what can I say?
But my
I'll have to do some worksheets on being an innocent victim here.
I know, it's so much fun sometimes. I don't have to take any responsibility. But then I don't get any of the power either, do I?
That's the way it works. Now, here's my highest thought. Normally, every jail and every prison, if the publisher sends a book, the book is allowed to be given to the inmates.
Yes.
If you send me some names and addresses and the numbers and all that kind of neat stuff, I'll send some books.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll ask the treatment center director at the jail for what address to send it to. They're pretty funny there, so I'm just grateful.
Do that, and they can start. We've actually got. There's one young man in. Let's see, where is he? He's in Ohio, and I sent him a book. It's gone around, and it's been read by about a dozen of the inmates. And he's doing worksheet classes with a dozen inmates in the jail. This is a kid who was into drugs, into trouble, all kinds of problems, and his parents have been doing my work, been doing worksheets around him, and sent me his name and asked if I'd send a book, which I did, and he got it. And he's working with a dozen inmates in this jail, and so he's got, I think, something like 2 years, and he's making use of his 2 years. He's learning forgiveness, and he's teaching it.
Wow.
So if you get me that information.
Oh, sorry. I will do so. And I know that I'm amazed at how these young women, it resonates so true for them immediately. When they hear it, it's immediate. I mean, I've had a couple of women who've killed people. One killed a husband and one a boyfriend, but they were victims of abuse their whole lives, and it's all you know. If all you know is all you know, it's all you know, and it's amazing to just see they grab it so quickly, and the ones I'm having a difficult time with are the women in their 40s or 50s. They don't want to hear it at all.
It's really great, yeah. I remember about, before I bought my center in Missouri, and I've been there since 1989. This is 1988. I used to do my intensives a place in a town. Believe it or not, there's actually a town in Michigan named Podunk, Michigan. There's a Hippocrates Health Center there. And that's where I used to do my workshops. And there's a prison about 20 miles away called Coldwater Prison, a women's prison. And there was a couple there who came in touch with my work. And this gentleman, he was the person who interviewed everybody that came into the prison. He was the first person they saw. And the first thing that they would receive when they went into the prison, along with their instructions and all this, is they'd receive a worksheet, directions to the library where the book was to read. And I went in, I did a 6-week series in this prison, and there was a woman, exactly the situation you described. She, I believe it was 4 years earlier, was pregnant, being abused by her husband, and murdered him. And she was given, I forget now, something like 20 years. She went to prison pregnant, had a child in prison. The grandparents are going to raise the child, and the grandparents are something like 70 miles away. She's in a medium security prison with no chance of getting out. Like, this is it. She's applied the only facility that's near where her grandparents are, and they're not don't have the ability. They're not very healthy, and they don't have much money. They don't. She doesn't see her child because they're 60 miles away, and she's applied to go to this minimum security facility, and they say, ha, 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 you're never getting out of here. And she went through, I did a 6-week series. She started doing worksheets on day 1 when I first introduced and did the Y workshop. Week 2, she's sharing a worksheet. Week 3, week 4, week 5. Week 5, she had gotten her marching orders. She was being moved to the minimum security facility in the town where her child was, so she'd be able to see her child. It took her 5 weeks doing worksheets to move that whole Michigan prison system to where she got to be where her child was.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So that's the kind of power that we have. But she'd send me those names and their numbers and their address, and I'll get some books off. That would be fabulous to do.
Okay. Yes.
By the way, the woman that I'm talking about 3 years later, she got out. She was supposed to be in there for 20 years. About 3 years later, she got out, went back to school, became a therapist, and is now working with people in the prisons.
Wow.
Sharing the tools.
Yeah, I never thought I would go into a jail to work with people. And when someone asked me to come along, everything in me screamed no, but I unfortunately said yes because I had to. I felt compelled, much like calling you right now. I know that it's what I'm supposed to be doing, so it's what I'm doing. And I'm calling you about your intuitive thing you're having next week.
Right.
I'm very intuitive. Come from a very intuitive family. Here's where it gets messed up. My intuition is totally twisted up with terror. So I'm really good at having the intuition of walking in a room, run, get out, but it's basically everywhere I go, run, get out, danger. So it's not really healthy intuition. It's mixed and twisted with fear. And even
so that's not intuition.
No, and I'm recognizing
that's not intuition.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about. What is intuition then?
So what you're talking about is not intuition. What you're talking about is psychic. They're two different things. You're having psychic experiences that are tying into the fear and terror that you have. So first of all, that's the invitation for you to begin to forgive your fear and terror. The whole conversation we just had with Jill a few minutes ago, we could just repeat the whole conversation, which I won't do because you were listening. So take the worksheet and start to work with them. Intuition doesn't come through the body's mind where there's terror stored, where there's fear stored. Intuition comes quietly and subtlety with the presence of love. It is the faculty that comes from our true beingness. You know, if you've been listening to the show, you heard me talk about the way to define a human life is to imagine holding a newborn child. And as you hold that newborn, you know exactly what human life is. Your human life has 5 faculties. One of them is intuition. And so the faculty of intuition is the spiritual faculty with which you attune directly to the actual happening in the world, and you bring back information about that happening directly from that happening, as opposed to it's coming through the body-mind unit with its fears, its terrors, its horrors, and whatever we haven't worked through, and it becomes tainted with all of those things. So my suggestion, invitation to you would be to start to work with forgiving that terror and fear, and as you get your body's mind to shut up, which is one of the things we'll be teaching in the Intuitive Development Intensive, as you get that happening, then there's room for your intuition to come in directly. And what the intensive is about is the practicum of strengthening that intuition, knowing when it's your intuition, when it's functioning, and how to act on it. So I'd suggest you dig out those worksheets and get to a new level of commitment and go for it.
Well, I bet you've had this question before. I'm going to ask you. When you're talking about forgiving the fear, this is what keeps coming up. If I let go of the fear and I'm not afraid, then they'll get me. So he's trying to make me not be afraid, and the fear is the safety. And I know that's not true, but I'm afraid of not being afraid. And I'm sure I'm not the only person.
So you do forgiveness. So your forgiveness work is around, first of all, the fear of not having fear. That would be the first thing to let go of.
Okay. Yes.
The belief that your fear protects you is an insane belief. Yes. Your fear does not protect you. Your fear sets you up for attack. That's the truth in an energetic world. And so the first forgiveness work I would suggest you do would be to forgive your fear of not having fear.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. I want to thank you for being on this, you and Jeannie and Dr. Tim and David. I've listened to so many podcasts. I listen to you before I fall asleep at night. That's why I've had to do so many worksheets.
Awesome. Have you listened to that? Have you listened to that sample radio show of the worksheet that was done about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, Lynn. I think her name was Lynn. Yes, I listened to it. Yeah, I've listened to it all the way back, I think, until May. I mean, I'm listening, backwards.
Working your way back. Awesome.
Right. Yeah, I've learned so much. It's so empowering and terrifying at the same time for me, but I know that's what I'm meant to do. So I might end up signing up for that intuitive thing, maybe.
Cool. Well, let us know if it's appropriate. We'd be delighted to have you there, and we just join you and support you and appreciate you for the work you're doing in the prison system there. Yeah. You don't know whose life you're going to touch and what the unfolding will be in the lives of those women, what it's going to do for their children, for their parents, for their spouses, for their families. You just never know. It's always amazing. I get every once in a while I'll get to hear from somebody, like yourself, who maybe is 5, links down the chain, while my aunt who was in Africa talked to my cousin who was and and my life changed. And that's what we're here to do, is to support that happening on planet Earth. So we're delighted to have you on our team. Thank you.
Yes, well, I think that's the other big fear, is once you're on the team, you're called to do things. And I don't want to be called to do stuff, gosh darn it. But I know that's what I have to do. It's part of being a human being. And when you're afraid of people, it's awfully hard to go out there and do what you're supposed to do. I'm really learning a lot.
Unless you choose to forgive your fear.
Yes.
And doing what you're called to do, that is fulfilling your purpose, is the only thing that will ever make you happy.
Yes.
Your body's mind will say, your body's mind will say, no, being secure, having things, having my stuff, hanging out in, it'll have all kinds of stories about what will make you happy. That stuff will never make you happy. The only thing that will make you happy is fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah.
And there's some work to do it. And fortunately, at this point, if you were talking to Yeshua would say, well, guess what? You have now put your hand to the plow. There is crazy glue on the handle. You can't let go. Ha, ha, ha.
I know. That's so true.
Yeah, that's fabulous, isn't it? It's just so awesome.
It's becoming fabulous. Keep forgiving the fear. I think it gets easier.
To just look at the fact that at this stage, for these women you're working with in the prison, you perhaps are the only link to a sane world. You're the only one who gives them some hope. And you know something? When you give somebody that kind of hope, you just change their whole genetic bloodline.
And these women, I can have 7 women, and together they've got 14 children under the age of 8, which is what the children is. That's really why I'm there, because we have to change the way we're living for these kids, because they need a better way.
That's always been the thing that's inspired me when I've gone into the prisons, is that, these people who are in prison usually are pretty much resigned. Well, that's the way it is for me, and my kids are going to follow the same pattern. And then when they hear it, it's like, say what? You mean I can change this for my kids? Give me the information. I'll do it. And, they're a captive audience, so they've got the time to do the work. And, there's an awesome line in the Course in Miracles that says, millions yet unborn will benefit from the work you do.
I like that.
And that's what you want to put in your karma bank.
Oh, more work. That gives me, every day I do at least one worksheet for the Memorial Day honoring. And now I'm going to have to think it's for those children not yet born. Gosh darn it, stop the pressure.
Well, no, but the thing is, there's nothing you need to do for them except what you're doing right now. Nothing needs to change. Just by what you're doing, you're shifting their lives. It doesn't put any extra burden on you. You might want to do a worksheet on extra burdens and how your mind reads things as extra burdens. That might be a good one to let go of.
Oh, yes, that is how my mind has been reading it, because the more I'm learning, the more I feel I have to share this. I have to, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, that's not the point. And I know that's my issue, my work, but so much work. And it's, I guess it does feel overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, and once you get it, like, what else is there to do? Like, what else can possibly be worthwhile doing? Let me go get a job and see if I can gather more stuff and have pretty around me and settled and everything nice in my life. Like, hello, talk about plain vanilla death. That's it.
For me, it's more, let me just hide some more, because then people can't hurt me. And that doesn't work either, because you know what? Even when you hide, something can come find you. So I've learned that, and it's time just to step out and release the fear again and again and again.
And you'll notice that the people who go and become hermits and hide out, they get a little funny, and they do it to themselves. You don't even need somebody to do it to you. If it's in there, you'll do it to yourself.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Well, take a look at the lives of the recluses. Actually, Ginny's just doing some school stuff, and she one of the projects she had in English class was doing a couple of papers on the lives of these famous writers. And basically these writers are these recluses, and they are just nuts. They're just doing crazy stuff. And there's nobody there but them, and they're doing it to themselves.
Well, I thought then I'd be really safe. I was just always alone, but I never thought of that. I could do it to myself.
There you go. Wow, if nobody else is around with it, if nobody else is around with a spear, here, let me go get a spear and let me cancel the thought. Let me do it to myself. Well, think about how many times in your life somebody has said something to you or given you the look.
Oh, yes.
And then they disappear. They're gone from your life. You don't see them. And you go around for days or weeks or months. Sometimes people do it for years. And they keep spearing themselves in the eye over that. They keep replaying it and spearing themselves over and over and over again. And that person maybe has been dead for decades. And they're still doing it to themselves.
Well, I was very smart. I was very smart. I grew up in an abusive situation, so I didn't get involved with someone abusive. I didn't beat him. I didn't do any of that. And then I found in 4 years I was in 4 car accidents, none of which were my fault. But I realized after the 4th one, why is this happening to me? I was actually attacked by a herd of deer. A hunter shot, and I had 6 deer land on my car. I realized something was wrong, and I must be creating energy because technically they weren't my fault. But guess what? I was the one being hurt. So I wasn't being beaten in my relationship. I was being beaten in a car. It comes and finds you. And that's when I started to realize I had an energy of terror everywhere I went. And the deer will find you. People running a red light will find. They found me. And that's when I realized it's my energy.
So you're accurate. You're totally and completely accurate except for one little twist. And that is that your language still puts it out there on them. Excuse me. They won't find you. You will call them in.
I found me. I did.
You will call them in.
I did. I absolutely
I'm driving down the road at 32 miles an hour. The hunter's going to shoot in 3 minutes, and at 32 miles an hour, I'll be way past where those deer are going to run across the road. And my intuitive faculty will slow me down. I have no idea why I took my foot off the gas. And I'm now doing 25, and I'm in exactly the right place on the road as the deer rush out there. I do this to myself. The deer don't find me. I do this.
I think I just realized that I better do something to heal that because I realized back then everyone was going to find me if I didn't shift me. Everyone, meaning even people harmless and meaning no harm, were going to harm me because I was asking to be harmed without knowing it. And big wake-up call.
Cool. Well, continue with your worksheets. That's awesome.
Yes.
Please send me some names and addresses, and we'll get some books off to those ladies. Okay.
Well, I think I'll just do the library because they come in. This is a 2-year jail. They can only stay up to 2 years. They're moved to the bigger prison, and that way they'll come right to the library. That would be great.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you.
We'll look forward to hearing from you. And if it's appropriate, we'll look forward to seeing you at Heartland next week. Let us know sooner rather than later because we got to do things like food and orders and all that sort of thing. So, all right.
I know. We can't use appropriate because nothing's appropriate. The fear is so big to do this. This is just like a huge thing to do that.
Oh, just do a worksheet.
Yeah.
Do a worksheet.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa,
for being there. Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Take care.
Okay, Michael, we have Julie from Oregon on the phone. Hi, Julie.
Well, hi there, Julie from Oregon. How are you, young lady?
I'm fine, thank you. Jeannie, I love your voice. It's such a song in my heart.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't be shy. No, I'm just kidding. Was the lady
I'm going to leave this conversation between you, Julie, and Jeannie, so you can get to listen to Jeannie's voice some more.
Oh, all right. So you're going to let me say what I need to say with Jeannie. Great.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Julie. How can I support you?
Okay. Well, the lady who was just speaking, her name was Melissa, right? Is that right?
Yes.
From Pennsylvania, I think. Well, yes. I really appreciated her call, and I encourage her to come to the workshop because I might be there too, and I'd love to meet her. I'm working on it. My block is the airfare, and it keeps going up. And but I did check with Allegiant, and it's better than others. So and actually my bigger block is that I'm moving right now and have to be out before I come to Heartland. So I'm moving along. I'm very motivated. But I really want to respond to her about the work being such a big burden, like, oh, it's so immense. I think it's great that she feels the immensity of it, and that is well and good. That is how it should feel, because it is really the only work. The curriculum is the curriculum, as the Course says, and it's really a labor of love, and it doesn't have to be done all at once. It's just that whatever you do has such far-reaching capacity. And it for me, the more I'm doing it, it becomes sort of a supernatural experience. I always thought I was on my journey, and a lot of my journey looks like chores and tasks, and I don't even know what I'm doing. But this gives it a context and a more meaning, and it's really the only meaning, this work. And it's a relief when we're fully aligned with it. So we just go forward with joy and courage and true power. And we really can feel that life is living through us and it's transforming the journey for us. And all I really give is my willingness, and then I get to experience the joy of knowing that my will is fully aligned, and it just gets easier. It really does. And I'm doing as much as I can, but it's still not, as constant or, whatever. Some measure that I think I need to measure up to. Actually, what work I do is enough. And I always know that the tools are there when I need them, and that's a sign to do a little bit of work now. Let's do a worksheet here so that I don't have to suffer with these feelings. I can release them. And that's it. And it's far-reaching. I love it. So, hi.
We actually, when we realize that we face, all of this stuff is in us and we carry it with us, so we get to face it all the time anyway. It's just we usually face it unconsciously. And so it's our choice. We can either continue through life pretending like it's everybody else and our stuff is going to come up all the time in our face every day, or we can willingly, like you said, face it and do worksheets and work through it and consciously create then instead of just letting our stuff create. And so we can't get away from the work. We've got to do it either consciously or unconsciously. So that's awesome, though, the way you worded that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, too. And carry on.
Thanks.
As we all are.
I hope we do see you next week. It's coming up quick. It's a week from today.
I know. I got to get it together. I know. Thank you so much.
Remember to breathe.
Yeah. I'm going through my own Hurricane Katrina here, but it's
Thank you for your
care.
call. Love you.
Right,
bye.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that for right now, that's all of our callers, and there's no conversation really going on. Thank you. Yeah. And there's no conversation in the chat room. The attendance there is really low today, and have several people on the phone, but they're all just listening. But Dr. Dave and Dr. Tim are both with us now.
Cool. And I reinforce what Julie was saying. I love your sweet voice.
That's that southern drawl.
As well as your sweet face. Are you breathing?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So Dr. Tim was with us last night for our workshop at Ruha Center. We got one more workshop tonight, by the way. If anybody wants to join us, we're in Naperville, Illinois. 7 o'clock tonight, we're going to do codependence to internet dependence. Last night, we got to do a little bit of stress with getting the stress you need. Dr. Tim, you have anything to share with us today? Hello, Tim. Earth to Tim. Well, maybe Tim's mute button's on. How about David? How's David doing? Anything to share from Heartland, David? You getting the rain down there that we're getting in Chicago and the cool weather?
No, not as of yet. It is. It's pretty warm, sun shining, little clouds coming in every once in a while, and it's a beautiful day. Getting ready for the intensive next week, and just getting things prepared. Nice to hear the input today from the callers, and that they're experiencing the success that they desire so much. I know that there's a few other people that are talking about attending the intensive, and I certainly encourage and support anyone that has that intuition to come and do it, then just to follow that. I like to I have this saying that the way that if a person wants to know if they can handle it, the only way that it's really ever presented is if I could handle it. That's my take of it anyway. Whenever that anything's been put in front of me, well then I have that opportunity, and however it is that I process through my stuff. So if anyone needs any additional support, questions, please feel free to give Jeannie or Michael or Dr. Tim, myself, Julie, anyone a call about attending next week. And the sooner the better.
Well, David,
for us.
David, you're a great example of that. I'll never forget the day that you called me the first time. You've been working with tools for a couple of years, and called me on, I think if I remember correctly, it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you were in Chicago, and somebody had given you these tapes, and you reluctantly listened to them, and it changed your life. You started doing worksheets, and a couple of years into doing worksheets, you found the phone number and called, and I answered the phone. And, as I say, it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I said, well, David, why don't you just come to the workshop that starts Friday? And, like 3 days later, David was at Heartland doing Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive. Actually, that was Jeannie's first intensive. Jeannie and I got married on Sunday. We actually had a 4-day wedding. We got married on Sunday. And we started a 9-day intensive on Friday. What a great way to start life together. It was awesome. And David was there on 3 days' notice. So you don't have to do a big, long, drawn-out, I have to do, it's going to take so long. And if you're thinking about doing the intensive, and we know that, money challenges abound in our culture today, if that's a challenge for you, then come and do the intensive, and we'll work out the money aspect of it. If that is a block for you, and our intensive will start next Friday, a week from today, a 9-day, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Or pardon me, it's not the Why Is This Happening to Me Again, it's intuitive development, and we'll actually start Friday evening, so it's a travel day on Friday, so people are working to take a day off Friday, then take the next week off, and the workshop completes the following Saturday. So you've got Saturday and Sunday, for most people to travel back and get back to work on Monday. And in the 9-day intensive, we'll do this awesome fresh and raw food that most people are just so blown away that you could actually eat fresh and raw vegetables and just have such an awesome, satisfying variety of foods. We get dyed-in-the-wool meat eaters who come to Heartland, and after doing a 9-day intensive, I couldn't believe that I was so full and I was so satisfied, and the tastes were so awesome. If I could do this myself at home, I would never eat meat again. So the food is awesome. And then we'll do actually a series of several different workshops in that 9 days. We'll do Why Is This Happening to Me Again? One of the blocks to intuition are the hostilities and fears that we hold within us. They've been purposely put in to keep us out of our intuition. So we'll do some forgiveness work around moving the noise, the static from the mind, so that intuition becomes clearer. We'll do mind shifters and still point breathing, and then we'll be spending the rest of the 9 days in a practicum on developing our intuitive faculties, of the activation of intuition. And there are practical exercises that we've developed that you can use, that you'll use to really be able to start to listen and notice when your intuition's functioning. I'll never forget, for myself, the first big breakthrough I had with intuition. And it was almost like my intuition oftentimes works visually. I'll see things. And I'll never forget the first time that happened. And I was working with a client, and there's this thing going on for them. And it was almost like my head was turned just slightly to the right, and I couldn't see what my intuition was telling me. And all I had to do was just make this slight turn to the left. And it was like this huge insight. It's like, oh, my God, that's been there all the time, but I haven't been looking at it. I've been ignoring it. We've been trained to ignore it because we live in a culture of liars. We live in a culture that has nothing to do with truth or very little to do with truth, and nobody wants us to know it. So, when we're small, when we're children, the intuitive faculty is just crushed in us. And all you have to do is get in the practice of turning your head a little bit, and all of a sudden, and that's, of course, kind of metaphorical, but all of a sudden, there's this whole other world that's telling you what's really going on and giving you directions and supporting you and caring for you. And it's an awesome faculty to open. In fact, there's a great quote from Albert Einstein. And here's what good old Albert says. He says, imagination is more important than knowledge. The only real valuable thing is intuition. Albert Einstein. The only real valuable thing is intuition. And so we're here to support you. Come and play. The intensive will start on Friday the 16th, 1 week from today. We'll serve an awesome dinner on Friday night and then go right into the opening of the workshop. So, and by the way, if you're not familiar with Heartland's in the Ozarks in southern Missouri. People who fly into the town of Theodosia. Pardon me. Our center's in the town of Theodosia. They fly into the town of Springfield, Missouri. We have a shuttle service, and we'll start on Friday night with dinner and go through the following Saturday. So come and join us. An awesome experience. And the cost of everything, food, accommodations, workshops, workshop materials, everything for 9 days is $1,575. That includes everything. So we've got a residential center, and September in the Ozarks is one of the most beautiful months of the year. September, October, the spring and the fall are absolutely awesome there. So come and play with us. Look on the website. There's a flyer. We'll tell you more about it at www.whyagain.com. If you have a question for us, our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Jeannie, do you have any thoughts about the Intuitive Development Workshop you'd like to share with people?
No, I don't have anything to add right now. We have a caller with their hand up, and we're down to about a minute.
Well, let's all the minute. Well, actually, we're down to about 40 seconds. So we could just catch a quick hello to them and then maybe talk with them tomorrow.
It'll be Monday to talk with them, but 954, you're on the air.
Hi, my heart family. This is Nene.
Hey.
Hello, Nene. We've got about 30 seconds, so.
Yeah, well, I wanted to acknowledge David for helping me in my latest process yesterday. I did 7 worksheets, and then I did my breathing, and it was extraordinary. So I'll call back on Monday. I'll share my experience.
All right. Awesome. You have an awesome weekend. We love you. We bless you. And everybody, please use the tools. Create the best year yet of your eternal life. Let's change the insanity on this planet. Bring a stranger with you on Monday. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeannie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeannie are here every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.